the folding on UBEC funds to pay up, standing in the name of Honorable Aishatu Jibril Dukku. Honorable Dukku is now invited to move the motion.
Education program introduced in 1999 to eradicate illiteracy, poverty, stimulate national development, political consciousness, and national integration. Also note that the Universal Basic Education Act provides for not less than 2% of the consolidated revenue fund of the federal government to be contributed to the UBEC fund, and for any state to qualify for the intervention fund, it must contribute 50% of the cost of whatever project it intends to embark upon as a commitment for its execution. Aware that the idea of UBEC has been held as one of the best policies to have been introduced in the Nigerian education sector, as it helps to provide free and universal basic education for every Nigerian child of school-going age, thereby laying a solid foundation for lifelong learning. Concerned that some states have failed to claim their grants since 2005, while over 58 billion naira of the Commission's funds idling away in the Central Bank of Nigeria unclaimed, yet states mourn that they do not have money to develop the education sector. Also concerned that the lukewarm attitude of the defaulting states has been a source of worry to well-meaning Nigerians, as both conditional matching grants and non-conditional special education funds from UBEC have been neglected by the states. Disturbed that states like Abia, Benue, Cross Rivers, Ekiti, Enugu, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Oshun, and Oyo, with an average of over 3 billion naira each, idling away in the Central Bank of Nigeria, have failed to access their allocation since 2011, despite the dilapidated state of infrastructure in the primary and junior secondary schools in those states. Also disturbed that while the federal government contributed about 70 billion naira in 2014 and about 8 billion naira so far in 2015, 27 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, have not contributed their grants and have, as a result, been deprived of the right to access the funds. The House hereby resolved to call on the federal government to remit the statutory allocation for the months of January to April 2015 to UBEC fund without further delay, and to urge the defaulting state governments and the FCT in the national interest contribute their counterpart funds to enable them access the UBEC funds to bring education in the states to the reach of every Nigerian child. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
This morning to support the motion as moved by my colleagues. I so second.
Has been regarded as the most important layer, as the first foundation also for education of everybody. This perhaps may be due to the fact that it is the foundation of all other educational pursuits, and it is expected to provide literacy, numeracy, and enlightenment to citizens. The importance of primary education, therefore, to everybody can be seen, to all beneficiaries of other levels of education that everybody has to pass through. Mr. Speaker, these states, because of the act which says they are free to access, it is not compulsory for them to access, have left these funds lying idle in the CBN. And all of us here, as honorable members, are aware of the state of basic education, the 9-year basic education, dilapidated infrastructure, unqualified manpower, and lack of educational materials bedevil this sector. And the UNESCO benchmark of providing 26% of annual budget has not been met by most African countries. And so the federal government giving 2% of our consolidated revenue fund should be commended. And these states should look onto this as a free gift to encourage them to meet up to these standards. Yet, this money is lying there in the Central Bank of Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, some states have over 8 billion in the CBN. For them just to contribute the counterpart fund and take the money to go and put in the 9-year basic education is what is required. But some have not accessed this fund since 2005. And if a country like the United States of America gives education number 1 priority, education number 2 priority, education number 3 priority, I see no reason why all our state governments cannot give education number 1 priority by going to access these funds, so that they can give what they have promised during their campaign days to the electorates. Mr. Speaker, the lukewarm attitude of the defaulting states, including the FCT, have been a source of concern to well-meaning Nigerians, as both the matching grants, the conditional and the non-conditional grants are lying there, not unutilized. And since the inception of the Commission, the federal government has provided over 280 billion naira as matching grants to the 36 states and the FCT. But it is unfortunate that the states are yet to access over 48 billion naira till date. So far, over 222 billion has been disbursed since 2005 to states that were able to access the funds. Mr. Speaker, the UBE program in Nigeria has its own unique features. First and foremost, the scheme makes it compulsory for every government in Nigeria to provide free, compulsory, and universal basic education for every child of primary and junior secondary school age. Secondly, it enforces all parents to ensure that their children or wards attend and complete their primary education and junior secondary school as stated in Section 2 of the Act, which provides even some fine for any breach of the Act. Finally, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I urge you to support this motion in the interest of national development. By so doing, we will contribute immensely in bringing education in the states to the reach of every Nigerian child. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, honorable colleagues.